Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Feels like a dars when I'm doing by myself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome all, alhamdulillah. So you probably noticed the audio has tremendously improved. So we figured out last week that there was a faulty cable, and so that's in the bin, and we replaced it now with another one. So the audio should have improved tremendously. Just one thing, just turn the volume up a bit, because it doesn't sit. Yeah, everybody's volume up. The main as well. The main on the right side, on the far right. Yeah, that's the main one. I think that should improve the quality of the audio, inshallah. I'm not sure where Abdul Wajid's missing in action due to work, so we hope that he joins us soon, maybe even in the chat.
Inshallah.
He's busy at work, and we will not talk about his top secret work that he does. But he doesn't want to talk about work.
Working around the clock.
Mashallah, yeah. It's 9 p.m. and he's still at work, mashallah. In the nature of his job, he better pay well. We haven't seen any blessings of that money yet, but alhamdulillah.
Yeah, but I read somewhere, they were ballooning they're trying to reduce the amount. The government was trying to reduce expenses to these
type of projects.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, government is not very good at reducing money, but always paying more than what they need to pay for projects. And there's grifters, there's people along the way who make a lot of money for their mates. Speaking of mates of the government, so currently there's protests going on, or today there were, in all the cities, CFMEU, which is the builders, tradies basically who work in the building industry, union.
So all tradies that work in the building, in the construction industry.
Well, all that are members of that union.
So
so the protest was regarding basically the government is taking over administration of the they're taking over the administration of the union. So because of corruption and criminal sort of elements within it from bikie gangs and whatnot, and some the modus operandi was a little bit criminal like. Okay. So this is corruption, like kickbacks and whatever, and helping mates and giving them jobs in the unions. And on the other side, there was things. So probably labor, because labor is hence the name labor. They basically are the unions. So they're coming out not from one union, from many unions. So it's better that the labor government, but then there's like suspicions that it's better because liberal just wants to get rid of all the unions, probably. Yeah.
So this the CFM.
Are you in a union?
No, I'm not in a union.
Okay, yeah. So yes. you should look for maybe. They're good.
I should use my Memni culture and get to a top position.
No, but unions, they're good because if you're living in a capitalist society, and the whole point of society is to everything's geared toward just maximizing is the bottom line and maximizing profits. That's everybody's working towards that pretty much. Every corporation that you work for, your employer, that's all they care about. At the most, that's all they care about, shareholders and whatnot. Then an employer is just an employee is just there. They don't care about you as a person. You're only as worth as much money you can bring in. So the more they can squeeze out of you, if they could get away with it, they would get away with it. That's why we have minimum wage, because of the union movements and labor and so forth. So those sort of things, no, like these people are not slaves. They are employees, and their labor is worth something. So that's the benefit. I remember I was working for one company, and the union, it's a big company, one of the biggest in Australia. And so the union lady comes in, and she's like a union member for our industry. Yeah. So if anybody needs anything, like basically like we're here to look after you. So she works there as well. So that's good. Like there's protections like for that you don't get taken advantage of, treated unfairly, sacked unfairly. People can be sacked obviously for not fulfilling their jobs and whatnot.
Yeah. So I've worked my experience in Australia. I've worked in a couple of jobs, and in my first job, I remember there was a union, but and my second job.
Just speak closer to the mic.
Yeah. So my second job, I didn't see a union there.
Yeah, okay.
But what difference I saw was where there was a union, you would see more Australians, more people like third generation people
Okay.
working there. But to come to the second place where there was no union is a different. You can see a
Oh yeah, they'll be using uni students for jobs they're not supposed to be doing. Cheap labor, yeah.
cheap labor. But at the same time, I think even the labor themselves don't want to get into the nitty gritty of this.
Yeah. So a lot of the foreigners that come, they're not
Yes.
aware fully of these things.
Yes.
And so what happened is they get taken. That's capitalism, right? So at work, which is maximizing the profit, and so in the part of that is to reduce wages and undercut, and they lie. Like I know there are cases of people who are paying the company to hire them so they can have a working visa,
Yes.
so they can stay in Australia
Yes.
in a visa, and they're paying the company for work.
Yes.
Or they're being undercut in their pay.
Yeah, private owned.
Yeah. They got some private deal.
Yes.
Okay, I'll $10,000 I'll pay for you, but you take me as an employer for long term, and so I can get my visa. So in a way, like they're abusing foreign workers, and they're not giving actual real pay what they're supposed to be giving. So they're saving money, and it's a basically win-win because they've now got this person in a sort of like indentured labor. It's really indentured labor. So that people sort of solve themselves into a temporary sort of slavery, and then they're trying to buy their way out of it. So that does happen. So yeah, so the large amount of influx of foreigners, I guess, comes in, and then there's people that will abuse the system and take advantage. Especially in the States, is very famous about this.
Yeah, but like it's like what I've noticed is, especially people from our area, subcontinent area.
You're not even from the subcontinent, you're from Kenya.
Yeah, but I'm saying the people from subcontinent don't want to get into unions. And
right.
It's like they don't want to get into that union thing.
Yeah.
It's like they are somehow pro management. Like I don't know what to say, but because I remember very well the previous company I worked in.
Yeah.
So
I think they're grateful for the opportunity of being here.
Maybe. And
then they don't want to wreck it by it might affect their visa or disadvantage them.
I think.
But it is a lot of people are involved. There are Muslims involved in unions as well, obviously, because the Labour Party and stuff. And then, as with all organizations, where there are human beings involved, it doesn't matter which country you're in, how well-to-do the country is,
Yes.
So, the Panama files a while back.
Yes.
Those files. So, like if you look at it, the top of the names, Prime Minister of Iceland, countries that are very well-to-do, don't really have corruption. Those guys are also trying to avoid taxes and doing dodgies as well. So it's human beings. They're trying to maximize, again, capitalist society. So you're trying to maximize your profits and, that's one way to doing. So they're doing dodgies.
Yes.
And I think he had to resign. I think it was Iceland. He had to resign. And that's a few years ago. But it's just human nature, right? So human nature is, the dunya is green and sweet. And there's different ways of trying to get that. You can do it to criminal activities. You can do it through dodgies. You can do it through being in organizations and, skimming money and whatnot, and on and on and on. So in principle, it's a good thing in the capitalist society that you look out for the interest and the well-being of the worker, and make sure that if there is a project, and these are not like a small projects. So CFMU, like I think the bulk of it is they're doing like the very large projects, like the high-rises and these apartment blocks and so forth. So you have a lot of laborers, tradies working on those things. So they should see some the benefit, the profits of that, because they're the ones building it.
Yeah.
So I think they're like protecting their work, and also they're very dangerous jobs because they're high-rises and all that. Electrical, all those jobs, they are dangerous, the equipment that's involved in it. So people do. So they, in a way, the union, CFMU and all these unions, they are looking for the interest and safety of their members. And by having collective bargaining power, then that's something that is good. If the system is geared to maximize profit, then but the worker can't fight the whole HR team of a company or human resource or their accounting or their legal team of a thing. That's where the collective bargaining, collective group sort of coming together and working as a collective is really, really good.
Yeah, but if I'm not wrong, I think over the past past 2 years, I think some of the private-owned construction companies have closed down, declaring bankruptcy.
How big are these companies? Is it
They
small
are-
companies?
No,
or-
they are big companies.
Oh, these are big ones because
Big ones, yes. So I don't know what it's a bit of a ambiguous thing. I know unions are there, but how they run, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a membership-based organization, and then they have lawyers, and then there's being a large organization with maybe hundreds of thousands of members, so there's money involved, and they have power, and especially if they're connected to like labor politics. So those are like lifelong union members or unionists. Sorry, not unionists, but union actors. They are the ones who go into the Labor Party as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's
alright.
yeah. So these things. So then, but the problem is now there's criticism like, is he, because it's the federal government is Labor, like in Victoria is also Labor,
Yes.
state. So now they are getting together and basically saying that administration, they kicked out the old guy. There was a bit of thuggish behavior, I guess. So there's corruption, there's some criminal activity, and then there's corruption within the organization, like with any human thing. Doesn't matter where you go in the world, you're going to have that, and then you need to sort of clean it out. So the one suggestion was to just shut it down, because this happened in the 80s. In 86, I think it happened, where there was another, I forgot the name of now, but a union which was shut down.
But now if the way you said, if the government then controls it, it's like then there's no, I mean,
It's not an independent, So
Yeah.
so they've stepped in, and that's the fear, that if the government steps in, so how is the government going to? Is it how long is this for? Because previously they closed it down.
Yes.
The problem with that is that you've got like hundreds of thousands of
Workers.
tradesmen and workers. In the meantime, they'll be left without protection if you're going to press the reset button from zero. So that's where the administration is probably a better option. They can fix up those two major issues, but then there's question marks. How much is now the government going to get these tentacles into this organization? Does it just become part of the government, right? You know, like in a way it is becoming. So they're using their forces, government, to fix it. That's where the protests were, sort of roughly. That's what the protests are sort of, my understanding, were about today. But anyway, that's unions for you. So you've never been a member of the union, but you've seen them in action.
Yes, I have.
And when there is no union thing, I've seen it myself at work, and the benefit. Even some Islamic schools, the teachers, like we should, if we work for a corporation, madrasas, mosques, Islamic schools, Muslim schools, all of these are corporations, or these are companies, right? Can you stop that thing with hitting the chair? Sound of it? Yeah. Just maybe drop the seat a bit so it doesn't. That's it, mate. And so they have also members of those sort of organizations, corporate structures. They can also be like, I remember one school where the guy comes in like in the first week of work, he sends an email to all I'm the representative of such a union, and it's a Muslim school, and you know they learnt very quickly, you know, like this is you can't just like these are teachers, whether Muslim or not. This is you got to make sure you pay people properly according to the work. Another place, the union came in within someone I know he only worked there for 1 week, and the union person came in, and basically his pay went up by $5,000 a year within 1 week.
Wow.
So like, so do you understand? Like so that means that that Muslim school was ripping off the employees. They shouldn't be paying.
No, But if only his pay went that.
No. All the teachers went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they were undercutting all the teachers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If his pay goes, it's like, okay.
So they deserve that. They deserve that type of, because they are a corporation and you're dealing with a company. Yeah, it's Muslim school and the board is Muslim and so forth, but they're still human beings. And they're not paying the market rate for these teachers. And the teachers are maybe desperate for a job and they're happy to be in a good environment, whatever. That's not good enough. Like if they're giving the hours, they should be on market rate according to other schools, public schools at least, you know, so some standards. So he did like, he got a bonus that year, like within the first week he just started. So they need that because they're a corporation. Like Muslim schools are corporations. If you worked in Muslim schools, which I have, they are corporation, they're companies. That's how we should see them. And if you're seeing them like these are the like Sahaba or something like that, I think that's you're mistaken. So they are companies, and you have to treat them. You do your work and do it in the best way possible and teach the in and so forth. But ultimately, you're working for a corporation, you know. So yeah, so anyway, the norms of their society. One of the norms is that unions are somebody's joined us, but one of the good things of is this, that all right, here's capitalism, but here's a way that the worker is not totally like becomes like a serf or a slave to these is indentured labor and so forth. But within that, human tendencies to take advantage of others. So this is like a sort of a mechanism, I guess, to undo that, and
Yes.
yeah. But it's very much hated by business owners. It's very much hated by the big companies. You see that in US, like the Starbucks. I don't know if you know the Starbucks, where it seems like a very tedious process in the US to to even unionize. So the Starbucks workers in one city, they were trying to unionize, or one Starbucks or whatever, they were trying to unionize, and they were like the amount of hurdles that they have, legal hurdles, to get to a point where they can actually collectively put their point. Because it's not that you can go to HR or you go to the management and say, yeah, you can say, but you cannot come as a group, right?
Yes.
So like, for example, if Starbucks in one city, there's like 100 Starbucks.
Yes.
So each one, let's say, has 10 employees. So there's 100 Starbucks, there's 1,000 employees. The 1,000 unionized together.
Yes.
Now they've got negotiating power. All right, we're not working for the next 3 days today.
Yes.
So you're not making any money. Yeah, we weren't making money either, but you're not making money either. So now, like, you sack another person, then another person comes, he goes to the union as well.
Yes.
Right? So they can't, and then there's like laws around this. You cannot stop someone from joining a union. So when that person in that Muslim school sent the email around to everybody and said, like, I'm part of the union, you can't stop. It's legally not allowed for you to stop the person joining that union. And if they the thing is that if they did what their legal responsibilities were, and they're paying people a fair pay, then there wouldn't be a need for it. But the thing is, you're dealing with human beings. You have to treat them like human beings, and you have to think. And it does come ultimately to that is I was just in the fiqh books there's a section on different, like, because those books were written like teachings. One book is like written 1,000 years ago. So there's all these rulings like to do with slaves and the rights of slaves, or the procedures and how to set them free, and all these there's like a whole plethora of rulings that doesn't even make sense, like, because it's not part of our reality. Like, and there's complexities to that, and responsibilities and so forth. There may probably need to be a fiqh book written for it does exist in fiqh books. There is like different types of partnerships or hired labor. There is like terms and conditions and so forth, how you engage with workers, and like we're just reading now about if you're riding a horse down the road and somebody gets trampled, the rider is. So I was just talking to the students about it, that like the rider is liable. And I was going to explain to the students, like, self-driving cars, right? A horse resembles a self-driving car more than it resembles a normal car.
Wow, Tesla.
Whatever, self-driving cars, whatever they are. So the reason is because a horse has a mind of its own.
Okay.
So if you look at a self-driving, it sort of has a mind of its own in a certain sense. It's non-aqil. An animal is considered non-aqil, non-intelligent in the sense of compared to human. And similarly, we look at a car is non-aqil. It's a non-living being, or it cannot be compared to a human being. So, but the rider is still responsible. I mean, so I said, look, when I study this, because I'm teaching this after like 15 years, since I studied like 20 years ago almost. So I said, I don't even remember studying this actually, this ruling, right? But at that time, self-driving cars didn't exist. So I didn't even have to consider self-driving cars as a masala. Like, it was never in the mind. Maybe it was some sheikh had a lot of foresight and thought about it. But I said, here we go. Like, a horse is actually like a self-driving car. It's more similar to that. So are you responsible as a rider, even though the animal's got a mind of its own?
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So if you knock somebody over, is it compensate? There is the responsibility. In a lot of the cases, the liability is on any damage is caused. And there are exemption, like if you're on a certain road that's specifically for horses and you're walking, like if you're, like here we got the ring road. If you're running across ring road, you get hit. Yeah, of course, the rider probably is not responsible for that. The driver, because you ran across the freeway, sort of thing. So there are exemptions, but there's all these cases. But then I was thinking, subhanAllah, like a rider is responsible for the accident caused by his animal. Then similar also as self-driving, then the responsible, because there's all these legal debates about who will be responsible if an accident happens, because the guy's not controlling the cars in that moment.
Okay.
So there's like laws had to be written, new laws are being written for that or have been written for self-driving cars.
So in for example, talking to what you're talking about, so in terms of an accident that it's your fault on the roads.
Yeah. So
are you liable for the, like, if you injure
compensation and so forth? It depends. So that's what I mentioned. I don't know if anybody's written on in self-driving cars so forth, but it was just interesting, just discussing and look, it more resembles a horse riding than it does, like a self-driving car is more similar to a horse riding or horse or animal or whatever it is, camel riding, than it is to you driving, because driving itself is more like you got a tool.
Yes.
And you're moving that tool, so you're directly responsible for, exactly. So while this one, it's sort of like with the horse a little bit, it's you set it on the path on the road, so you're sort of responsible. You can say, the horse has its own mind and it did this without, and I try to stop it and so forth. No, that's not So anyway, just interesting how so maybe there's like a fiqh chapter on unions maybe need to be added to the ahkam of unions. Like, what right do you have to tell a business on the working conditions that you work in or the wage that you set? Obviously, you can the when you work for a place, like, because there's a coercive element of that of a union. So you're coercing the boss through your collective power as a group to make sure that he
does the right thing.
Yeah. But then it's like maybe a product of the modern world, right?
Yes.
Did always in history people really,
Yeah, no, but because like for most of the private companies, I don't think they are pro unions.
Oh no, of course not. Yeah, they would despise the unions.
Because I've on my own experience, I have gone through I've seen firsthand.
Yeah.
With people who are pro union.
Yeah.
Like laborers who are wanted the union.
Yeah.
Being slowly sidelined and eventually shown the.
Oh, okay. They can't do that because
because they wanted the union.
Oh,
then
okay.
You have to have a vote.
You don't ask the boss for that.
No, but you have to have a vote within the, like, a majority of your laborers need to support that.
Are you sure?
That's because my this is my previous job.
Okay.
Like most of them refused to sign. Like, okay, I will not be part of it.
Okay.
So it's like one person.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, because you see, similarly, I mean, you
have to check that. That's an interesting.
Yeah. So similarly, like at times, I know, I mean, back in Kenya, back in Africa, we never knew like HR manager can be a person who can defend you. But coming here also, like when you go, the HR manager is paid by the company. So at the end of the day, I don't know if really like the HR manager even stands for you or stands for them.
I don't think that's true. Anyone can join. All employees in independent contracts are free to join or not to join a union. It's also known as freedom of association. That's in Australia, fair work. This is also known as freedom of association. It's illegal for a person to pressure another person about their choice to join or not to join a union.
Yeah, but for the union to come, like, for the union to represent the workers in that company, they need to have a sort of signed with that company, I think.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's maybe that's misinformation.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because people,
I don't know.
especially migrants, because the English is not good and they might not be aware. So, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, here we go. I'm just reading it. Yeah. So yeah, look, employees are allowed to join a union just as they are free to refuse to join. As an employer, it's important to understand that you cannot take, I'm just reading from one legal side, that you cannot take adverse action that is putting an employee in a worse position than they currently are in by changing their working conditions or their position within the business because of the decision to join or not to join a union. While it could be in your best interest to maintain a healthy corporate relationship with the union that represents your employees, you may wish to get legal advice if you suspect that something is not right, or experienced employment lawyers can assist as part of the, anyway, that's the company they doing the ad. They give you a little bit of, just enough information, and because I need these guys, call them straight away. So I don't think
they can refuse.
They cannot get involved. They can discourage maybe, but yeah, and it helps you, like they can, you know. I think there might be like there's trades, there's professions, manufacturing, construction, obviously, transportation. It gives you bargaining for fairer wages, bargaining for better benefits, creating more financial security, providing better representation, encouraging safer working conditions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, anyone can form a union as long as there are at least one or two people to act as a representative for the organization.
Yeah, so that's
So one or two. The size rarely matters, though larger unions may have slightly more collective bargaining power, because a union represents a majority or the entirety of the workforce. I think that's where you're getting. But that's not, even a small union can encourage massive changes at a workplace.
Yeah, but this was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where, I mean, I was pretty new to Australia. I didn't know. So
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, when I came here and I was told, if you have any issues, the HR will stand for you. The human resource manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, will stand for you. But then when, like, making where I come from, because we have the perspective that, at the end of the day, the HR manager is also paid by the company.
Yeah, yeah.
Why, I was like, why will that person who is paid by the company try to support you against, because if you are going to the HR manager, you're going with a complaint
Yeah.
of a certain thing, And then I was like, why will that person who's being paid by that company, try to defend you against that same,
Yeah, there could be like, games being played as well. Yeah, that could be that going on as well. That's another thing. Yeah, or there could be generally they could step outside of their role as a HR as an employee. Yeah, I find even the roles like conflict of interest is a very funny thing. Like it's especially if we wear many hats. And one of the funny ones in Islamic sort of organizations is Sharia advisors to Islamic financial institutions. So like you're an employee of the Islamic finance, I think I mentioned this before, Islamic finance company, and you are also saying it's halal, but you're getting paid by them to as well. Your job is to say that it's halal, to check if it's halal, but then you're paid by them to say it's halal. I mean, like it doesn't.
It's a conflict.
So then what does then you'll have to check someone alim outside, and it's one of the. I find that a lot of, it's very few, I discussed this with few ulama who are very well versed in Islamic finance, but they're not involved in Islamic finance industry.
Okay.
Right. So they do like maybe more consulting as an external independent body. Okay. So that's good. That's a better thing. But I don't know of anybody like that in Australia yet. Like there's Mufti Shabir in Perth. He's really good, well versed. I don't think he's like on a Sharia board of any bank per se. But so he's sort of like more his own advice and research, and like he's very, very good at it as well, mashallah. And he's like looked at contracts and stuff. And I think he established I forgot the name of it now, but it's in Perth anyway. It's like an online sort of company consulting. So those are good. There's some other ulamas in UK. There are many, but basically they're expert on Islamic finance.
Yes.
But they're an external body. They're not employee of that company. Usually, what happens when an alim becomes very good in Islamic finance, they become an employee of the company. they're on the board and they get large amounts of money and so forth. I'm not saying it's not allowed, and I'm not saying that they're dishonest, but like in courts, in Islamic courts, like testimony of like very close relatives is not acceptable. Meaning there's a bias there, right? Like a father to a son, son to a father, like in murder case, for example. Like you can't, there are limits to, there's obviously a bias there. So that's not going to be, that's very hard to, so it's got to be taken with a pinch of salt. So hence Islamic courts, right? And even if you do like a form, you've probably done a passport form for your kids. So the guarantor is somebody else.
Yes.
The guarantor is always somebody. Why is the guarantor someone external? Right, that someone that is external to the immediate situation of the family, who can vouch, okay, this is really this person's child or whatever, So
yeah, but people still look for the loophole and come to the imams in the masjid to just get
like he's got nothing to do, like just there to sign your forms. I've got this thing where people are coming as an imam, they come to me to sign because I'm minister of religion, so because I do marriage celebrant or whatever, and so I can sign. So I'm not JP, but I don't want to even get that because it's like, what's the point? It's just be more people line up, and for free, you don't get paid for it either. So I can't. That's it's already too many. But the thing is that people lining up to say that sign the form, and the requirement for that form, especially security licenses. There's a lot of these students just keep coming. So you're from Pakistan. There's 250 million whatever people there. I don't know who you are, man. And you haven't been, the worst ones are the ones that have been less, because you have to know them for 1 year. They haven't been in Australia for 1 year. So that's one. The second one is like, I have to know you for a year.
Yes.
So like, and some uncles will come and they'll say, I know him. And I say, well, I don't know him. I have to know him. Your knowing is not my knowing. It's not like we have a collective consciousness and we know together, we know, together we know, him. No, you know him. I don't know him.
Yes.
And if I'm saying that I know him for 1 year and I'm signing that, I'm lying.
Yes.
So come in a year. Now I know you. Come in a year. And then now and then they like put on their pout, their lips. They just they just like feel very bad. They're shocked actually. Someone says no to them, and I said, yeah, I would love to help you, brother, but like you asked me to lie and so forth. So it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. Yeah, this one, like, okay, I'm in the mosque and I see him throughout the last 1 year, and okay, inshallah, I'll sign for you. But it's not a reason you should come to the mosque. I know people have come to the mosque, develop a relationship with the imam over time, just for this.
Oh, is
to
it?
get paper signed. Yeah. You never see them again after that.
Oh,
so
that's why you see people attending more. More people attending the dust of the.
No. But there are people that do come with that intention. Sadly, yeah. I feel it's bad because like what we have access to is being raised here. Like I have access to because we've been here a long time. Then you kind of feel like it is a privilege to have that. But then you have that sort of responsibility. You can't lie. You can't lie. Others might be able to, but I can't. Like it's my father explicitly, rahmullah, told me not to ever be clear cut. So I'll follow that through. But it's there's a lot of that. It's once a week, average once a week. There's a guy comes. It's the same story. Usually they're like 20, 21. The university students have recently come from. Sorry to say about Pakistan. They are usually always. I'm not saying apologize to you. I'm the Pakistani, but it's usually Pakistanis, nobody else, and they expect. They automatically think that you're going to do it for them, and they get a bit surprised. And they know, and then they'll go to somebody else, and then that person will be sent, some uncle or someone to do safarish, like to do shafa, like intercession. I said, I'm sorry, but politely decline. And it's not like out of hate of the person or dislike of the person, but it's just like to do things properly, you know. So, and ultimately, like if we start doing this is like back home habits that we're bringing here.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean in Australia there's no corruption and there's no dodgy, but you can't do that. Like you can't. It's just lying. You're just lying. You're signing a form and lying. Like how can you, I get it. You're helping somebody, but it's like, I know. I mean, there are people that lie. They do. We call them dole bludgers. They used to lie, or they do lie, and as long as you don't get caught, by the government, it's all right. It's all halal for you. Like non-Muslims. I'm talking about non-Muslims.
Yes.
They don't say halal, but it's like as long as you don't get caught, you're good. You know, like they got something out of the government extra. You know, like that's the way they look at the world. Yeah, that's not really like the way we probably see things. Inshallah,
Yes.
as Muslims, I hope
Yes.
they don't see like government as a cash cow. You know, and then this doesn't stop. Like you start with this, and then through lies, and you're building yourself up, and yeah, it doesn't end. But anyway,
Yeah. So talking with the finance, I've seen one of these financial institutions coming up with a halal money app. I don't know if you've seen it.
it's like an investment app.
Yeah, I think it's sort of an
That's good. Yeah.
investment app. What's the ruling? I mean, so based on Sharia, if they invest in halal sources, I'm sure that
Investments halal, and if they filter out the companies and
yes, they go ahead.
you can think, and they take brokerage fees on your behalf because acting as like
Yes.
your wakil, I guess. Wallah alam. And the really good one, but it's not out in Australia because in each jurisdiction you have to go through like the ASIC, of Australian Securities and Investment Conditions. Like I think you have to some things you have to go
Yeah.
through if you want to be operating in a jurisdiction. I think Wahid, I think they're in the UK.
Okay.
Like they're hundreds of $1 million like investment sort of thing. So they have like different portfolio. We can't get it in Australia. I
Okay.
think you can open up an account in the States or in UK, and
Yeah.
then you can invest through there and have an account, transfer money to that, and then from there, I don't know exactly how. There's maybe a way around it, but they're really good. Like so, you can choose like very aggressive investment, which means like someone said, "Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh." Yeah, so like you can do very more risky investment, but it's halal. Like you're buying shares of halal companies
Yeah,
and
halal companies, yes.
the investing, and then and obviously you let it mature over long term. Those who know investments, they'll know.
But it is halal to invest like in shares and
Yeah, because you're buying a
shares-
part of the company.
because share prices have to
There is a difference between just simply day trading,
okay.
which is just playing the markets and the numbers and just. But like Mufti Taqi Usmani, I read something of his that he said about day trading in the sense like you're not really investing into the business. You're buying the dips and selling the high, you're not buying the lows and selling the highs, right?
Yes, that's
So
what I'm saying.
So, but because if you were to do that, like if I buy the share investment shares is basically you're doing what's called musharaka, a partnership. You're doing a partnership with so partnerships are allowed.
Yes.
So musharaka, shirka is allowed in Islam, and shirka is like we both together own a business, let's say. So we own a shop together, and there's arrangements made. Or I another type of partnership is like I'll use Irfan is such a well-known name in Australia, and then I'll use your all right, well I'll use your name, like JJ's, Junaid
Yes.
Jamshed, like that.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so that's
yes.
using so the guy I think runs a business somebody else, but he used his name, so it's called Shirkatul Wujuh. I'm not sure how much he was involved in it, but so use somebody's name. They are not doing anything except that their name is being used because they're a brand, right? So they're well known, or like it opens doors to other business partners and investors and so forth. So these are there's different arrangements, right? I supply the labor, like farmers as well. Like it's your land, but I'll provide the seeds and and the labor, and then we'll split the crop. Sort of thing, like it'll be
okay.
a third, 2/3. Anyway, there's various arrangements, but then you expand that into the modern world of companies
Shares, yeah.
and shares.
Yes.
So then shares are basically you're buying a small share of the company. You're a small partner, right?
Yes.
Hence, shareholders meeting is like a representative of all the shareholders because there's too many shareholders. You could have 10 million shareholders in a company. How are they going to be? So those shareholders, directors, all these sort of structures are there, so their voice is heard. And the company is answerable depending on the portion of the company is owned by the individual or the investors or shareholders. So then you have to, that's company going public, meaning allowing external investors to come in. So that's permissible. And if you invest in a company, you're buying a part of the company. That money is also you're buying, like you're investing into the company, you own a chunk of the company. It might be a very small chunk, let's say $1,000 of the company you own.
Yes.
It's a multi-billion, so you own a very small speck of the company. So that company, when it makes profits, in proportion to the profits, your shares also increase. But also you own the company. It means you own the buildings, equipment, and so forth. That's why when it comes to zakat, like merchandise, which shares is part, your whole share that you bought of the company or the shares you bought is not, there's no zakat. You're not liable for zakat for the whole amount. Remember that, like if you owned a business, small business, and you owned like a, let's say, shop and the equipment in it, there's no zakat on the equipment. Let's say you opened up a bakery. So you got ovens, you got dough mixing machines, all this. There's no zakat on those machines. The zakat is on the flour, all the things that are used to make the bread.
Okay.
Because that's your merchandise.
Merchandise, okay.
So your merchandise, your goods, right, in a shop, like let's say a mobile phone cover shop, the only thing you're selling is mobile phone covers. All your mobile phone covers that are there, the stock that you bought, merchandise you bought that you're going to resell, zakat is due on that 2.5%. So in the this is another side masala when it comes to zakat. So when it comes to a large, what do you call it, company where you have a portion of your money, I think if I remember correctly, some said it was like 40% of the share zakat is due, not on 60%. 60% usually, I think they sort of calculate some, Mufti, listen, there's a Mufti Abdul Rahman ibn Yusuf of Zamzam Academy UK. Mangera. So if you go to his channel or Zamzam Academy, or just go to his YouTube channel and search it there, he explains about this. I think there's some like financial guys, gurus, whatever, they went through this and they said about 40%. If you should comfortably be so of your shares, the 1,000, you only have to give zakat collected with all the other wealth. Let's say you did 10,000 investment in the company, shares. You only have to give zakat on the 40%, something like that.
4,000.
4,000. Yeah.
Yes.
But please check that. Don't take it off this is off the cuff sort of remark. But so that's what you got. But the thing is that since that is allowed, but then there's some people that are buying it not for this long-term maturing investment where it's generating wealth, right? If you're investing in Apple, which is a phone, generally that's the main product, phone and laptops and whatnot, you're mainly investing in that. So then let's assume that's only two things they make. So it's quote unquote halal from that perspective. Let's say they don't have any other products except those two. There are companies that do like mixed things. They do like financial, like they're involved in insurance and riba and so forth. So you have to be mindful of that as well. But let's say that's only two products that they have and you invest into it and then your portion. So you're sort of like making money of the company running, manufacturing phones and laptops and then selling them.
Yes.
Right? That's how you're making sort of, and that's generating wealth for you as an investor because you own a small part of the company and it's increasing its profits every quarter. You're also getting money out of that as well. The day trader is coming in very quickly and leaving very quickly.
Yes, that's what.
But since the first way to doing is halal, although this one is not seen as maybe the most ethical way of doing things, because you're not there for the business. You're just you're playing the speculation game. Speculative trading. You're doing speculative trading. Like, okay, there's going to be a dip this afternoon. I'll buy it tonight, tomorrow I'll sell it. So you're doing it because how much people are putting money in, taking it out. You're playing the market sort of thing and on day trade. Since the first one is allowed, although the second one's not considered a good way and people have opposed it or might have opposed it, I think Muftaq Islam, if I remember correctly, since in principle buying from the company is okay, then even to do it like that would be also okay as well.
To buy it and sell it like that.
Like that, yeah. Because the first one is okay. Because there's no difference between the two transactions.
But it is disliked or it's allowed?
Yeah, it's something. I can have a quick look. Just so read it accurately.
Yeah, because I think out there people are not aware. I mean, because according to me, I was with the speculation that this day the person who comes and buys and then sells it as quick is something that's not allowed.
No, yeah. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at it maybe at some point. But I sort of just indicated an aspect of it anyway. It's not everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, we end up in this fiqh dars, I guess. Yeah.
No, no.
It's a huge area.
No, it's because right now, I mean, because I just saw this halal money. Like I think it's halal money app. That's been,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Think
initiative.
yeah.
But there are other alternatives. But the only thing is, like, you have to. It's in a strange jurisdiction. I don't think there are any. Like, or you can just do it yourself. Go to ComSec and whatever bank account that you have. It's got. They all have like a trading platform. So the same companies that you can trade there.
Yeah, but all. I mean,
No, the same companies.
or the names of the. So
Let's say, like the example I gave. Let's say Apple only sold 2 things. You can do it on this app because what they do is they're not creating the companies.
yeah,
They're
but-
just filtering out a list of companies that you can invest in.
Yeah, but then the way you say that there are companies who are involved in insurance and riba, then how do you? Because
No, but they're like saying you can do the research yourself and eliminate.
Okay.
So there are
It's-
lists like of created by online. Just you have to do more research stuff yourself.
okay.
So they might just do all the work for you. So you can do investment yourself. Like you don't need like an Islamic app because they're trading in the same companies.
Okay.
But they've just like they might exclude companies that are like defense contractors.
Okay.
You know, like Porky Pig,
Or alcohol consumption.
Bacon. You know, whatever, like, so, we know, okay, that's haram, or like Jack Daniels. All right, I think we can stay away. You can, then you can make it list. But there are people who have done those lists, Dow Jones. There's an Islamic Dow Jones. I think there's an Islamic Dow Jones index, but I think you do have to set up an account over in that country, in that jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because I remember, like, what was it for? Because I have some books on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't. So I had to create a US, like a virtual account,
Over there.
and I get taxed as well.
Wow.
So I'm paying money to the IRS. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't make much out of it, but like, there's an IRS forms that you have to fill. If you're on Amazon, like, you have to fill out IRS forms, and that came from Trump. Trump tries to. Because people are just like, these companies have to pay taxes. Like, doesn't matter which jurisdiction. If they're an American company, they have to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So then they just passed everything down to the.
All other companies.
Yeah. Yeah, there is an Islamic Dow Jones index and
Oh, that's good.
Dow Jones Islamic Market World Index. Yeah, so the index measures the performance of stocks traded globally that pass rules-based screens for adherence to Sharia investment. So if some, like, the actual thing can't be haram. They actually go through like a process of filtering companies. So these guys are probably just made into an app, which is good. And then but then there are other apps like Wahid and others as well. So yeah, you might have to get a VPN, or what is it? To be able to be in a different jurisdiction. But anyway, there's charts as well. How does it compare to other companies? Because they're not involved in the riba. They're not involved. How do these companies, like, now you have like decades of information, so you can compare it to the general Dow Jones Index.
Okay, mashallah.
The Islamic company, how they perform, right?
Over the years.
Over the years, yeah.
Wow.
So, and how the various, there's like decades now, information there. So you can, but the thing is that those companies you can invest in, or you can talk to one of these Islamic advisors. Maybe, I think that it'll be a good option. How much their brokerage fees are, or how much their fees are, that's another story,
Yeah, there must be.
Yeah. So what's going on behind the scenes? That's another thing. That's a very difficult thing to check. Yeah.
Who is on the Sharia?
Yeah. But it's a good initiative. Those are things that we need those, and people want to invest. They keep asking.
Yes.
As Imam, you get asked this question regarding, you do get asked about about where to invest their money, and they want to put it with some builder or some construction industry or whatever it might be. They have, people do want to invest. So, but their options are limited.
Yes, they are limited, definitely.
Yeah. So this might, if you have extra cash lying around, I guess, then you can invest it or make your own business. I guess it's a good. It's in a way like you're doing business, but without going into,
Yes.
So
I think it's.
Abdul Wajid is still not here.
Okay.
Yeah. Inshallah. What else? Has anybody? Let's have a look. Someone said Salaam Alaikum. That's pretty much it. Tonight it's quiet. Alhamdulillah. But I think the audio, if anybody is listening, feedback on the audio would be appreciated. And inshallah, Abdul Wajid, hopefully he's chasing after the dunya is paying off, and hopefully he's with us next week, inshallah. But we are still like refining this platform. So we figured out how to do multicam at the same time on the screen. We're going to make adjustments to this, inshallah. So we'll save the changes, inshallah. We have the bigger camera, the bigger, wider shot. So that way we can get Irfan and everybody in the one shot, inshallah. But bidnillah, we're learning bit by bit. Make dua for us, and hopefully we'll have guests soon. And inshallah, we'll have Zoom and other multimedia, inshallah, included in, so we can comment on other videos and things like that. So we're working on that. So we are...
please join in and ask, share some topics, share some discussions that you want Brother Wajid, Sheikh Khalid to discuss, inshallah.
And Irfan as well, inshallah.
Yeah, I always pitch in, inshallah. I'm just I normally pitch in when Brother Wajid is not here.
Yeah. All right. We'll call it a night, inshallah. Jazakumullah khaira for joining. Thank you, Irfan. Your company is always appreciated. And assalamu alaikum.